Sure.
It's recording.
You gotta scratch it.
All right, I am calling this meeting of the Fredonia Village Board of Trustees to order at 7:17 PM on June 19th. Everybody please stand, take the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Johnson, can you please take the roll?
President Lynn,
Here.
trustee Eipert, trustee Frank, here, trustee Abedlin, trustee Dorwart,
Here,
trustee Searing,
Here.
trustee Van Roon.
Here. Thank you. The next item is public comment. Please note that public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. I take it there are no public comments? All right, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I must recuse myself from this one, so I'm going to turn this one over to President Pro Tem Dorwart.
all right, okay, the next agenda point is the consent agenda containing the minutes and bills and liquor licenses and things of that nature. Any additional bills here already?
No, I sent out an updated packet today that has everything to date.
Oh, okay, this is just. All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license renewal applications, Class A combination liquor license renewals for Stadco, Casey's, Dolan and Corb, and Class B combination liquor license renewals for Fredonia Family Restaurant, Jody, or Tom and Jody's, Jen's Place, and a Class B liquor license renewal for OWSBA. So we need
How about the whole consent agenda?
the whole consent
You
agenda.
moved to,
Yeah, I moved pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I second.
thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Is Judy's in there? Did you mention Judy?
Judy?
Keith?
Yeah.
Oh, Lucy, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You did.
So just change the
Aye.
motion to approve the entire consent agenda as agenda.
So hearing no discussion, I'll call the board. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I will
Yes,
hand the
lady.
gavel
I
back
got the
to
year.
the president.
Thank you.
You know, the-
All right, the next item on the agenda, report on village committees, the Parks and Recreation Committee.
So I know Chairperson Eipert isn't here. I don't know if either of the other trustees just want to give a quick summary. Otherwise I can too. Oh, okay.
Go for it.
Real quick, we talked about Fund Before the Fourth, which is coming up here. There's going to be a request for a donation to cover the offsets that we'll talk about later in the agenda. But otherwise, the planning is going well and we look forward to seeing everybody there. We continue to review of the Parks and Open Space Plan. So again, that's a big document, looks at all of our parks and what we're looking at adding. We went through some of those parks. And then because again, the committee is so new, we thought it might be good at our next meeting to just do a tour of parks. So we're going to plan on doing that next time. And then I just gave a brief summary on 2025 park maintenance that you can see listed in your packet.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, report on operations of the village by, first item is village president. We have engaged in several visits with businesses in the community. My eye doctor for the May business of the month, Hope Family Dental for the June business of the month. We had coffee with the village recently, and that was very pleasant. We will be doing that again soon. The other thing I want to take note of, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, the paving on Industrial Drive began today, so we're starting to see growth over there in the industrial park. I don't really think I have anything else. I'm going to turn it over to the village administrator, Administrator Jenkins.
Sure thing. Well, the president covered my first couple of points, so thank you for doing that. We continue work on just brainstorming housing incentives. Again, this body is new, but we've been talking for quite a long time at how can we incentivize residential development to happen here in the village. There's two pieces to that. One is you need available land to develop, which is one piece that we're looking at. And then the other part is some sort of incentive to say why here, what's going to make Fredonia unique. So a lot of communities, a lot of counties have been exploring various different programs, whether it's down payment assistance, ways that you can get an upfront grant and then earn it back through volunteer hours, perhaps waiving of permit fees, some sort of financial incentive to, again, say, build here in Fredonia rather than anywhere else. So I'm hoping to put that together in some sort of proposal for you guys by fall. And so I've been attending various consortiums and just housing discussions to just learn what other communities are doing and what's working out really well and things that we can imitate here in Fredonia. Under fiscal policy, CIP requests, we continue to sharpen our pencils on that. For those who don't know, that list often starts as, a laundry list of things that every department head wants, because of course they do. And then we carefully whittle that down to what are the true asks of staff to the board. So just so you know what that process looks like, we'll be finalizing that here in July, and then we'll plan on a finance committee meeting where the finance committee will review and then recommend to the full village board, yes, these are the CIP items that we want to do for the next couple of years. So just watch for that. We went through our annual audit review with Baker Tilly, and you'll hear more about that in July. They'll be coming to our meeting to present the annual audit. I do want to give a shout out to our new full-time DPW member for a couple reasons. So Simon, for those who don't know, he's a graduate here of the Ozaki High Schools. He's been with us through his youth as a summer teen help, to then a part-time employee to work his way through college, and then recently became a full-time employee with us. So he brings a breadth of knowledge, obviously, of the community, of work experience here. His degree now is in architecture, so we plan on using that, obviously, as we do park planning and things like that. And then just as a little side note, we did our little social media post announcing him as our new employee. I kid you not, that is the most popular post that we have ever had on the Fredonia Facebook page, period.
By a mile.
By a mile, like the most likes and comments and interactions. When you look at the metrics, it's kind of crazy that this young hometown boy obviously has a lot of the community behind him. So that's really cool. So I just wanted to share that. Under public safety and infrastructure, you know about the different road projects that we have going on. We have an alleyway that's getting paved. We had Pine Street that got cleaned up as well. I'm sure Eric will talk about. One thing I wanted to point to was the PWSB splash pad. So I shared this in an email with you all. We had a little moment of panic when our donation from Quash just didn't quite come out the way that we wanted it to. And we needed concrete work to still happen in order for us to have a splash pad. I gave a quick SOS call to Andrew Schmitz with Andrew J. Construction. He's a local guy here as well. And those guys have stepped up to the plate. Literally the next day, he was on site helping to lay down base gravel to create the forming for the concrete pads that are underneath the features, and just donating a lot of time and effort and work in order to make this happen. I kid you not that we would not have a splash pad if he did not step up and donate what he's doing. So a huge thank you to him. He's obviously going to get lots of recognition on our signage and everything else as he deserves. And he doesn't want the recognition necessarily. He just wants to help and be a part of the community. And so again, just super humbling that he's willing to do all that. So if you run into him in the community, make sure you say thank you. We talked about Coffee with the Village. We had that go out. Agent Dorn did all of her inspections that you just approved with the liquor licenses. Our events are going strong. We had our first Tuesday Tunes. Over 100 people came out for that, which was really exciting. We have our next one next week. And then following that is, of course, our Fun Before the 4th, which is a huge celebration that we're doing here in Fredonia. So I hope to see you all there, those various events, and we'll keep doing awesome stuff this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item would be Marshall Leet. I don't see Marshall Leet present.
Yep.
So,
He apologizes, but his report's in his packet or in the packet.
all right.
then same thing with the fire chief.
Same thing with Fire Chief Waker. The next item would be Administrator Paulus from the Department of Public Works.
You got a promotion.
I would never be in this. Yeah, Pine Street, most of it got sprayed. I know there's some spots where some of it came on that they'll come back out fix. The alley has been my project I took on with the guys to get them used to, using equipment. Learning how to use survey, how to put something in. So those that don't know, the only alley we have in the village is off South Milwaukee Street across from the fire department. We actually found the lot lines, so the alley is actually 4 feet wider now, so. I'm hoping within a couple weeks that that'll get paved, so. Then that'll be a nice, and then that will all the way through again.
You run into a utility pool up on the other end.
Does that alley run the entire width
Yes.
of that block? So that apron that's on Wilson Street is part of the alley?
So when school starts, I'm gonna put up signs, say, not block. the
Right.
entrance.
The garbage truck used to go up and down there.
So it's not a real, I mean, obviously it's an alley, it's not a real wide alley, but, I'll give access now to people get through it.
Okay.
Splash pads. We're on the Marcelo and K, which is a blessing, because his expertise is higher than what I know, so. When he needs help, we're helping him, and I mean, it looks like something now besides a hole. The one last thing I just wanna mention is, the power outage at the plant. It was isolated just at the plant. A critter got into the line and shorted out the plant. We pretty much figured out now, because that generator is undersized for that place, what buildings run and don't run. Whenever they came back to, the bottle tower did not come back online. So we had to use airlifts, which I fielded plenty of phone calls about the smell that, because now we stirred everything up. We do have the bottle tower back online again, so. That'll be the next thing, there's, the 3 pumps, there's only one there. Other 2 are coming. And then failed, and that's. The next thing to the board,
Okay,
where to go with that.
So part of the electrical, is that gonna help out with,
What was it?
the electrical, I mean. Obviously, our electrical is how many years old?
And then from 81, that was.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not gonna be part of our. Need a strand putting in, I mean, they're gonna be putting in new electrical, right?
A generator will be asked for,
Yeah.
but the problem is. The line that feeds the plant comes from Monica. If we go higher than what the meter will let us go, that line from Monica will have to be replaced. So we are going to stay within what we're able to carry. So I don't want that bill for replacement of the line. The energy is not gonna just do it because I asked. So.
any other questions? Thank you, sir. Next item, Clerk Johnson.
Tavern inspections were completed. Agent Dorn, Marshall Leet, our new commercial building inspector, Jeremy Pfeiffer, and fire inspector Kunstman, minor violations in all locations. Business owners were given 30 days to rectify any issues, and none of the inspectors felt like there was anything that was prohibitive so significant as to delay permitting. I do see kind of a little bump in the road for Dollar General and Casey's. They still have not submitted any operator applications to date, despite several reminders to both local management and corporate. So we'll see. If they don't have any operators, they can't sell alcohol. I think Marshall Leet was planning to go rattle their cages a little bit sometime this week when he was making his rounds. And again, the DOR is promising a streamlined renewal application for the 26-27 licensing cycle, which I think folks would be pleased to see. So Director Paulus and I worked on advertising the CMAR and CCR. Those were posted and they're ready for approval. We sent weed letters to quite a few residences this time around. We are continuing transitioning our outstanding commercial permits from Roger to our new inspector, Jeremy. I did some time organizing the TID3 file. Full value manufacturing assessment rule was released this week. It was a positive indication that the village will see a gain in value in that sector. And then all the regular stuff, phone calls and building permits and welcome packets, utilities, website, agendas, minutes. Nothing.
All right. Well, thank you. The next item is the village treasurer, but the treasurer is unable to be here tonight for personal reasons. Her materials are in the packet, in case you're interested. Next item would be the Ozark County District 2 Supervisor. Also not present. Mid-Moraine Municipal Association Designated Representative, that would be Trustee Dorwart.
Yeah, I got, the last meeting of the season, we held. Yeah, it had to do with volunteerism. And the two operators of the organization were there. There's Colleen Meyer, Executive Director of Volunteer Center of Washington County, and Chris Barnes, CEO of Ozaki Profit Center. And they're the Ozaki group had changed significantly over the years. It has moved to, they're in their fourth location now in Saukville. And but both Ozaki and Washington County are concentrating on gathering funds and volunteer help and things in order to fund a lot of the other volunteer things that go on in their county. And they're finding out they get more volunteers that way. There's a seat where you can find volunteers. You can go there and they'll get you to work, or they'll find a place that fits what you want to volunteer. And they've grown, they've got quite a few different things they do. There's about a dozen different things on their little circle chart here that they're involved in, specifically with volunteers that they've accumulated for those specific teacher thing activities. They're finding that both Ozaki and Washington County are finding that going after volunteerism as in an organized approach, in a central approach, is getting more done as far as volunteer people. It's getting a better handle on footwear. It's accumulating different volunteers and doing a lot more work than it could as just a bunch of volunteers going around individually. So they also help to fund, both organizations help to gather funds and support the smaller volunteer organizations with the larger organizations equipment like Hills Insurance for meetings and things of that nature. A lot of it gets spread around to keep the cost to other smaller units down and get more done. So It'll be interesting to find out how that's gonna go. I've got a card here, all that, there's phone numbers and websites and things like that. I'll pass over to the clerk that she can keep on her record for handy handouts if someone is looking for something, so. But all in all, it was quite enlightening as to what they're accomplishing as far as what they used to accomplish. So I congratulate them. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. We go on to agenda item 7, items for action and or discussion. The first of these is discussion and possible action on audit services for 2025 through 2027. Administrator Jenkins?
Sure. Our treasurer Upson wrote this, but I'll give a summary here. So we are at the end of our audit contract. We audit currently with Baker Tilly. And they've, done great work as far as helping us through all the ups and downs of our municipality and staffing changes and things like that. Treasurer Upson's time, there was at least a little bit of concerns with the disconnect and opportunities for Baker Tilly to provide some teachable moments to our previous treasurer, and really just to guide staff when guidance needed to happen. We thought with having a fresh perspective with a new treasurer that, we'd be able to move forward. And if you read Treasurer Upson's comments, it doesn't quite seem like that. It seemed to be that Baker Tilly still, at least her experience, has been underwhelming. There's been some corrections and errors that we've had to make of them. And that's caused some frustrations or to have a real complete and successful audit completed. So regardless, we did our due diligence, went out for RFP. We received 2 applicants back. One was from Baker Tilly and the other one is from CLA, Clifton Larson Allen. Both have experiences with municipalities and bookkeeping and all of that. CLA did come in as the lower of the 2. You'll see a total breakdown there in your packet of $83,000. And again, this is spread amongst all the funds, does just hit the general fund. That includes general auditing. They would do our PSC annual report and our annual municipal finance filing that we file with the state. If you read Treasurer Upson's recommendation, she recommends going with CLA just to really provide a fresh start for our relationship with the auditing firm. And obviously, it's a cheaper amount for us too, which is always great for our budget. So I'll leave it at that.
Questions? Comments?
Has Treasurer Upson worked with CLA before?
I thought she said that she did in a prior municipality, like they had touched base. I think that was that one. Like it was 2 municipality or 2 jobs ago.
You love that. She's worked with.
Yeah.
I think it's like with insurance companies, you have to keep them honest. Not that there's anything, but that's the saying,
Yep. And we appreciate Wendy. She's going to be back in July giving the audit report to us. So they're not going to go away right away. But this is just starting a fresh start with the new company.
And that doesn't mean that in 3 years we won't go back to Baker Tilly.
Correct. Yep.
Can we motion then?
Do we have a motion then to accept CLA?
Motion to approve agreement with CLA for auditing services 2025, 2027.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? Well, seeing there's no discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
I,
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Motion to approve resolution 2025-13, a resolution reviewing the compliance maintenance annual report, CMAR, to be submitted to the Department of Natural Resources for 2024. Would this be something that Director Paulus would address?
So this is a report that, I submitted to the DNRs, the numbers for testing, the maintenance that's being done on the project, and, I have to, there's the 9, 11 subgrades that I have to complete. Most of our A's, I have 2 B's, And I think it was a phosphorus because we had a equipment failure, so we were over limits and. Is it BOEs? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have it in front of me either, but it was the result of the clarifier going down.
Oh, yeah, so. Numbers for that specific thing that the clarifier went down, or partly around 11. I think when the clarifier went down, that was in the 80s. I mean, it was. It just happened that when that clarifier went down, everything going through one clarifier just pushed all the solids out. So our numbers were way over the limit. So. For the two. Then this is an annual thing that's. Due at the end of the year. Or at the end of June for the previous year.
Okay. Where do we end up with first score?
It was 3.78.
First,
Yeah,
it's still self-determining, right?
For the score.
Yeah.
No, that's. When I fill everything out, it gives me the score. So I can't,
So what was our score
Change it.
last year?
it was like 3.84.
Yeah, it was a
Which
little higher.
year we had,
We had a C last year.
we had one C in all A's, this year I had 2 B's in all A's, that it dropped that like that. So,
But you had the two failures that,
yeah, so
affected the
when I
scores?
go for the limit, then
Right.
it asked me why. And then I listed what happened. Otherwise it comes back to me and says, we need to fill it out, and tell us why.
What happens when we don't pass any of these?
Well, that comes to, I'm in the process of working on the permit for the plant. And as your CMAR historic explorer, then the DNR helps you design the plan.
Yes, so this will hopefully be resolved if we get plans and bids for replacement sewer systems.
Like a third clarifier can help,
Yes,
the chemical building would help, that would help fix stuff that is filed now.
and if we had plans in place for the DNR, or our score drop, DNR would be a little bit more lenient with us. Because we have, we're, we're out for bid or whatever the case may be.
And so. With that on the permit, it actually talks about any failures you had, any problems you had with the plant. And in the CMR too, it asks, what were these costs? Is there plans to fix it? Is there plans to update it? So. We listed, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's gonna happen, it's just, is there plans? But as your score keeps going down, then the DNR helps you plan this, so. I don't want any help.
Move
And
to,
on that word, on that note, where is Strand with our drawings?
Yeah, I can give you an update on that because we just met about it.
Curious when.
Well, it's really,
Yeah.
I'll let it slide.
I mean, I'm.
Yeah,
I don't know.
not to get too off,
Curious.
yeah, not to get too off topic. We just had a check-in meeting with them this week. So Strand came in, we met at the wastewater treatment plant. Trustee Dorwart was there as the Public Works Chair. And so we went through like a preliminary look at the plans. And they were able to, it was a time where Eric could choose, like, do you want this or that, or how do you want this bill? And so we provided clarification to that. They should be coming to us by the end of summer, and actually recommended that they just come back to the full board to kind of say, this is what we're looking at doing. Because again, we have some newer members, so I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then assuming that they get a thumbs up, then they go through the plan development process, and that takes about another 6 months. And so we'll be coming here, was it mid next year, Eric, I think, with, these are the final plans, let's go out to bid. And then we ramp up for that project at the end of next year, going into 2027. So, yep.
Just to add to that, which we mentioned a little bit yesterday in the meeting, was that phosphorus issue. Strand also mentioned too, what the cost to add filters if I cannot be in compliance with that, and he said it was a little over 2 million just for filters.
Yeah.
So.
So we don't want to not be in compliance.
Yes,
I
we
would
don't
not
want,
want to help.
right,
no, and I know after our conversations and stuff, we don't want help from the DNR. So that's why I was wondering,
Yeah.
if you could get me
Yep.
copies of those preliminary plans.
Moving
I would
al-
love
moving
to
along.
review them.
Yep.
We cut down our choices so much. When they're healthy.
Yeah, we don't want the DNR's help.
Yeah. I will, move to, submit the CMAR to the DNR.
Good. So we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution. So it's resolution 2025-13. Please.
Vote to. Oh, this is just that we viewed it?
So it's a resolution, that you guys would approve that says that, the CMAR has been completed. That you verified the grades, that the grade point average is 3.78. And, that you've reviewed it and we're going to submit it to the DNR.
That's kind of what I intended.
I think you have to read as stated here.
I just want the word resolution somewhere in that motion.
Oh. I move to approve resolution 2025-13 and submit the finished product of the CMAR to the Department of Natural Resources.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Enough words for the DNR.
And
There being no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries. Discussion and possible action on bulk waste dumpsters, and this is another one for Director Paulus.
So in spring and fall, we call for bulk waste, things that are supposed to. That can be brought down to the dumpsters that don't fit into normal garbage cans for residential. We have it, I usually try to plan it a week after the pre-noting about the sale, so things that they're not sitting on their birthday, they can bring them here. And then in fall again, when people go back to school, at least they're trying to clean up. We have got the shop. Normally I do 3 dumpsters out. Switch out one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, Thursday, they bring plastic on. This year was a little bit different. I had 3 on Monday. I had 4 on Tuesday. Had 3 more on Wednesday. And they picked up the 5 on Thursday. I actually 4 on Thursday, 1 on Friday. We doubled our cost for these dumpsters this year, just in the sprinkle. Normally around $5,000 for the 2. I was at just shy of 4,600 for the sprinkle. We get a lot of unwanted things that we have to pay for. Oil, paint, tires, refrigerators, things that we have to pay for. They are not banned. They are on camera, but we had one that dumped after I showed Administrator Jenkins that I have him on a thing, I zoomed into the plate and it looked like he had something covering the plate. So my recommendation is to have it down in the wastewater plant on a given Friday or Saturday. Village residents only, where I can actually have it. And when it's closed, I can close the gate that you can't get in. I know there will be some that will throw stuff against the fence. I get that, I understand that's what's gonna be. But at least we can eliminate the outside residents. Keep it to village.
We have cameras down at the wastewater plant to monitor like people throwing stuff against the gate.
Camera system was updated down at the wastewater plant this year, so I have 360 wastewater plant. And I also have one that shoots straight out the driveway, so I can actually see who's coming in.
If we can identify the people that are doing these drop-offs that are not in the dumpsters, I would recommend forwarding the information to Marshall Leet. It's littering if you're not placing it in a receptacle. And so these people should be cited for littering.
And I'm not sure if that person did that because the dumpster was full and they just threw it out there. I don't, but I mean, they were full. Tuesday morning at 5:30, they called, Carter's called me and said we can't pick up. Because there was so much stuff in front, I believe there's a picture. in your packet.
There's a picture.
Like, so I had them bring me more dumpsters, stuff that was on the ground, filled 2 more dumpsters. So that was 3 guys, hour and a half picking stuff up, put it in the dumpster, so they could come back and grab it. So I just like to control a little bit better.
It was, pretty out of hand this year.
It was crazy, it was, and I think Monday it was raining most of the day, and then it was like, when it stopped. It was a parade through town bringing stuff.
So it was open a whole week?
All week, so when they get there Monday morning until Thursday, I tell them afternoon on Thursday, they figure it out. So yes, when we leave at 4 o'clock, it's a free for all.
And so you want better control over that by having it locked behind the fence at wastewater treatment.
So if you provide Friday, Saturday, so the people that you can't get their garden feed can still have access to it on the weekend.
Sure.
And then, a 6 to 4, whatever hours you guys choose. And then when we go home, it's closed.
This seems like a perfectly reasonable plan of
I
action.
still don't charge village residents, but at least I can help monitor it better. Last fall, I actually helped someone load back out their tires into their car. I made her help me.
Instead of only having 2 longer days, could you have like a couple more days, like a half day type of thing? So if people are happen to be gone that only weekend that it is happening, they could still use it.
So the issue I have having a plant is there's not a lot of room inside the fence, because I need half the plant for waste haulers. So it would be on the other side, and if I have, you know, that filled up all the time. I mean, it's open to whatever works best. I mean, I want the village to have it, use it, it's a nice benefit.
It is.
But it's also, I feel it could be to us, the constant cleanup,
It's being abused.
pulling things out that, But yeah, I mean, that could be done too, it could be altered, be like that again, and I just, instead of having 5 on site, maybe 2 every day.
My only concern would be the one Friday and Saturday if people happen to be out of town or something. Yeah.
Well, it is offered twice a year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, you also have the option of going to the dump if you're not available that particular weekend, you know, you pay whatever cost the dump charges you and you take your waste there. This is a nice free service, but, you know, you have to be. My garbage can is full. I have to wait till the following week to put more trash in it. So,
And we're also talking about now he's gonna have someone there to prevent paints, tires, batteries, because all of that stuff that gets tossed in those dumpsters now costs the village even more money. to
right.
Dispose of if they don't catch who threw it in there.
Right. You could still have it staffed though, but instead of having it just 2 days, you could cut those days in half and have like 4 days or whatever instead.
That does require paying staff to monitor that. over
But if
a
it's the
longer
same
period
amount
time.
of hours, just spread out more, it's more available for people. Doesn't change the cost.
What do you think about that?
Not opposed to yours, but, like I said, the Friday, Saturday, instead I can actually have the next summer bid, there are 7. And then it's no overtime for anyone. I just wanna make sure that if this goes through, that people realize that someone down there monitoring is not someone down there to be unloading it. You can load it up, you can unload it too. I mean, are they gonna stand there and watch someone struggle? No, but I don't feel it's our guys' duty to,
Yeah.
you know, not only is it a free service, and now you just back up and be unloaded, it's not what I'm looking at, but yeah,
Yes, but then honestly, you're talking about two different weekends. I mean, right now he offers it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, twice a year. And this is just a Saturday, Friday and a Saturday, twice a year. So giving people more opportunities, I think Director Paulus is right, giving them on Saturday, and if they miss it, they miss it. There are alternates, there are opportunities for them to do, the residents to do other things, so, because like President Hunt said, my recycling gets full every single week, and I have a absolutely packed full recycling, and I have to wait for some things every 2 weeks for my recycling to get picked up, and it stacks up in my garage until the following week. So residents have options, and they just, if they put it on their calendar, they can take care of it that weekend. And then if they don't miss it, they miss it that one weekend, they wait a few months and have another weekend. So I'm fine with the Friday and Saturday. Twice a year.
I mean, if, you know, I'm still in shape what you're talking about, is you like it, maybe 2 weekends in the spring and 2 weekends in the fall. In case something is on.
Yeah, you could do that or just extend it out. You could have half a day Saturday. You could extend it to basically half days and instead of 2 days, now it's 4 days. Someone's gonna be gone the weekend. Well, they have Wednesday and Thursday to stop by too, you know?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. If they could, I can have it set up to start on Thursday and then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'd rather have it one, week than carry it on the 2.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I'm over to that too. I mean, we're down there, it's fine. It's just, I just want to clean this up a little bit.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry. So if you do it on a Thursday and and it's behind the gate, can you close the gate when the dumpsters are full so you don't get the overflow like we did this time?
Yep.
So you could control that, and just close the gate when it's full.
Any further discussion or questions?
So really the direction we're looking for, if you look in your packet here, is to guide us on just crafting a policy, right? So we have this in writing. If you want that policy to come back before you to review and then give us a thumbs up, you can. If you trust us just to do it based off this conversation, we could do that too. It's really up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
falling in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever direction you guys want, it's fine with me.
Well, they definitely should be moved. They should definitely be.
Relocated,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more control, so we can prevent costs with batteries and tires. Bulk wastes are gonna cost the village money, and we control non-residents.
If you guys could draft something and bring it up to us next
Yep.
time, I'd be fine with that too.
Sounds good?
Doesn't need any type of motion.
no. All right. Next item, motion to approve Director Paulus's attendance to the Public Utilities and Waterworks Institute's Advanced Leadership Training Program. Again, Director Paulus, tell us about it.
I took the basic class of Watson. Not thought of learning all day, but 3 days. I was actually pretty impressed that it was actually very well taught by the instructor, I believe, Michelle Rose. Utah.
Utah, Salt Lake City.
He brought up a lot of things, and then the other supervisors that were in that class was very interesting on how they deal with some of the stuff that village boards and how things react and the administrators, how things work. So it was really good. And everybody in there asked if they would have another class with that instructor going on. So I would like to attend it. Very good. Now, I am not responsible for the tornadoes that happened because my last day was the day everybody left early because they're talking about tornadoes, which they ended up hitting them. But maybe they'll dress up. It's not because of me going to.
Are you sure? I think something like that would be very valuable.
I'll make a motion to approve Director Paulus's attendance to the Public Utilities and Waterworks Institute's Advanced Leadership Training Program.
We'll second that.
We have any further discussion or questions? No further discussion or questions. I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Motion to approve ordinance 2025-03 pertaining to design standards in business and manufacturing zoning districts. Administrator Jenkins.
This is the final time before you. It's been through 4 meetings now. This is the 4th one. You can finally vote on it. Please do.
Any questions?
Can we just briefly review like what the change does?
Sure. So right now, the Plan Commission does not have authority to at least amend or interpret some parts of our ordinances, and specifically the aesthetic pieces. So like when a business, I gave the example of 9 Ladies Dancing, right? So 9 Ladies Dancing is coming into the industrial park. They're surrounded by industrial businesses. Most of them are doing metal prefab buildings. But because her use of her property necessitates a business zoning, which is what her property is, she applied and asked to have a building just like her neighbors, right? A metal building that would fit the neighborhood of other buildings that are there. Right now, as it reads, the Plan Commission does not have the authority to say, yes, we also agree that a metal building is a better fit than the rest. So all this does is it gives that ability to them. They don't have to do it, right? But at least gives them the option to have an opinion on aesthetic things.
Any further questions? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-03.
I second.
Any additional discussion?
You know, I'm in favor of giving our boards and the village board especially, and our other boards, commissions, the ability to massage their law to fit a situation, not to avoid it or go around it, but we had a good example tonight. So I think this is a good thing to do.
Okay. I will put it to the vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Motion to approve a donation to the Friends of Fredonia Parks and Recreation for 2025 fund before the 4th as recommended by the Parks and Recreation Committee. Administrator Jenkins, would you please explain?
Sure. This was discussed at the Parks and Rec meeting. That body unanimously recommended this. Quick summary is we funnel all of the revenues and expenses through the Friends group for all of our events. They have been helping to manage and plan all of the events so far this year. When you look at specifically at Fund Before the 4th, we predict that there's going to be some sort of deficit. We don't quite know how much exactly that's going to be. And that's particularly with the fireworks themselves, because fireworks are so expensive. There's probably going to be, if I had to guess, maybe a $8,000 to $10,000 deficit there. We know that there will be offsets from the other events that make money, including Fun Before the 4th itself with liquor sales and food sales and things like that. But the event hasn't happened, so we don't know how much that is. So long story short, the Friends group came to the Parks Committee and asked for, in a sense, a holdover donation to make sure that they can pay bands, pay fireworks and all of that, and then we'd settle up with them afterwards. So the way we do that is we have already budgeted $15,000 towards events. So we'd upfront that $15,000 to them as a donation and accompany it with a letter that you can see in your packet. And this letter makes clear that after the events happen and after they have verified their revenues and expenses and everything's been accounted for, then they, in a sense, return the remaining funds back to the village by October 1st of 2025. That's a quick summary.
During that meeting, I asked if he was gonna look into asking for like minimum donations or anything because we're going off the honor system. Is there any updates to that?
I don't know, but honestly, anything's going to help, right? Any sort of increase, whether it's donations or, drink sales and things like that, it's all going to be beneficial to the group and really to both of us. Yep.
Any other
And
questions?
you said you estimated it was gonna be like 8,000 to 10,000.
That's like my rough guess. I mean, right now on paper, the deficit's about 15,000. I mean, that's why they're asking for the amount that they're asking for. But I'm basing mine off of what I anticipate the other revenues will be from the other events, the mud run, the Tuesday tunes, drink sales and things like that.
I was just curious if anyone thought it was like, you know, if it's way higher than expectations, if you could cut that down by $2,500 or something just by chance, is that something that anyone would entertain?
Well, what's going to happen is once everything's paid out, they're gonna return.
Yeah.
I mean, if we cut it from 15 to 12. And at the end of the day, they would have been returning, if we gave them 15 and they returned us 8, they're gonna be returning us 5.
Right.
So it really doesn't
Right.
come out in the wash. So offering the 15 just makes sure that they have everything to pay up front,
Right.
fireworks and so forth, so that there's no questions, no problems, and we settle up later. That seems perfectly reasonable.
Right.
to me.
Yep. They gotta return it by October or something, right?
Yes, October 1st.
I was just picking brains, just curious if anyone had a thought.
I'd rather give them too much than give them too less, and then they have to come back and do this all over
Right.
again.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a donation to the Friends of Fredonia Parks and Recreation for the 2025 fund before the fourth, as recommended by the Parks and Recreation Committee.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries. The last item on this part of the agenda, motion to approve directing Strand and Associates to create a new CSM and request rezoning regarding parcels numbered below. Do you want to give us a short summary here?
Sure. Well, we're not going into closed session because we have a solution, which we're excited to give to you all. So we had that meeting with the property owners, President Lenz and Trustee Searing were able to join us as well. We heard from both the property owners on, what they needed on the sites as far as access and just usability of their sites. And we ended up kind of right back to where we were at the beginning of all of this. And so in your packet, you should have the just sketched out version of the map from Strand with where the lines would look at moving or getting deleted. So everybody was in agreement with obviously removing the property lines for us, moving up around the 118 Fillmore to adjust for the fence that's there, moving up 504 Fredonia, which is Jen's place, to include that land that we've agreed to, in a sense, gift to Jen's place as they use it anyway. And then same thing for 508, moving that property line up to a few feet off of the parking lot. The big emphasis for Jen's place is they still wanted to maintain access for personal delivery cars and things like that. And so the solution, as was brought up by Trustee Searing, was to offer some sort of loading zone in the parking lot there. And that seemed to be amenable to everybody. For those who don't know, in the CIP, we're planning on reconstructing this parking lot anyway. So that's the opportunity to do that next year, is to probably right-size this parking lot a little bit and then craft that loading zone for Jen's place. And then at the same time, as long as that's been accomplished, then they were comfortable with Pappy's property being brought all the way to the back, and then he could apply for the fence or whatever he would like to do in the back of that property. So it's a win-win for everybody. We did talk about price. So Strand, again, it was about $9,000 to do the CSM for us. And all property owners agreed to split that evenly, $3,000 each. So really tonight, we're looking for a motion to direct us to now start this process officially with all of us property owners together. We've let them know that's not a quick process, right? At least drafting and approving a CSM. So we'll go through that process over a couple of months. It's going to come back before you as well. And then when we record the CSM at the Register of Deeds, they would do what's called a quick claim to adjust the properties, one for another. So it's not like we have to exchange cash or anything like that. They're just quick claim to each property owner as we adjust those property lines. And we confirmed with the attorney tonight, it's actually the same thing with zoning. We don't have to look at rezoning the properties. They'll just adopt the parents' zoning. So I think that's enough, and we're ready to move forward.
Any questions?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve directing Strand and Associates to create a new CSM and request for rezoning regarding parcels listed below.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Trustee, Van Roon.
There you go.
All right. All right.
So that part behind Jen's, down where it goes into low spot, we're leaving her have that because she thought she had it anyway. Okay,
That is
Okay.
Correct.
Yes.
okay, you give it to them and say, well, you guys gotta figure it out, till you figure it out.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we'd have been hammering at that for 6 months.
And I think they appreciated
Did have a
having,
motion in a second.
I think they appreciated having the dialogue together as well.
Yes,
According to what we saw last time, is they weren't really.
talking at all, no. All right,
Correct.
any further discussion? I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries. Next item is correspondence. No. Items for future consideration, we have to consider the meetings taking place in July. We have a meeting scheduled for the 3rd of July, which is just before the Independence Day holiday. And we have a scheduled meeting on the 17th. Our options would be to reschedule the 3rd and or the 17th, or to waive having a meeting on the 3rd and just have a meeting on the 17th, one meeting that month. Is there any discussion about preferences in this? One-
Considering that last item that was passed, I would just offer to cut the meeting before the 4th.
Okay, so just one meeting in the month? And a question to the administration, is there going to be any problem with paying the bills or getting anything done with, because we'll have about a 3-week break before and after the meeting of the 17th because of the way the months fall out.
Yeah, so we've talked about best practice, like what we've done in the past when this has happened versus our financial policies. So the financial policies really say that as long as, depending on the purchase, as long as we're within budget and the proper authority has approved it, so small items by department heads, a little bit larger items by me, and then anything else that's publicly bid out by you. As long as we're following that, these things don't have to come before village board. We just do it out of best practice. So what we've done in the past, when people have either been on vacation or the board has been off, we've still made sure that all of the checks and everything have been verified with the village president and the treasurer. And then if there's anything that's out of the ordinary or a larger purchase or something that we feel is odd, then we pull that out and just wait for that, that meeting to bring before you. So it's really up to you guys how you want to handle it, but we've done this before. And
So there won't be any conflicts or any
Yeah.
problem with doing this if we decide to just
Yeah.
have one meeting in the month.
And even if Pete, even if you pre-approved all the checks, right, you're still going to see a big list of those in your packet come on the 17th.
Right. Any other discussion?
I mean, otherwise, if you moved them to the 10th and the 24th, it would just put the alternating week still and then jump right back into the first week of August perfectly.
Right, I mean, that is the other option.
I'd be a fan of that too.
Be a fan of having the 2 meetings, just
That'd be
moving it
just-
back a week.
That'd be just as fine.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I kinda like the 2 meeting thing. Cause it'll be 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and 2 weeks till August meeting.
I agree, I mean, I agree that, I mean, it doesn't appear that if we just skipped a meeting that it would be a problem for the village or a problem for the administration of the village. However, having, just moving the meetings a week back shouldn't be a problem either.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah, if we had a lot of agenda items kind of like on the docket, I mean, I would prefer to split it up too between 2
Mhm.
meetings, but we just don't. I mean, I don't think the workload typically in July isn't very heavy.
that's another consideration. We don't have a heavy
Yeah.
workload for July, so there may not be a necessity of having 2 meetings. Personally, if we do postpone them, I won't be here for the first meeting, the 10th. So, I mean, being here for the 17th works for me better, but that's just me. I'm willing to go with whichever option people are more in favor
How
of.
soon do we have to make that decision and how quickly would we get items on the agenda?
This is the last
That's
ordinance.
the last meeting until then.
Yeah.
This is
One-
the last. So I have an agenda going, and it is, the pleasure of the board. Most of those items that are on it already are dependent on, the plan commission agenda, which I am also working on. So really, I don't have a good vision of what is going to be on that agenda until after the plan commission is kind of set. So we're hoping that the CSM, will be ready, but that's a plan commission item first. We have some sign permits, some fence stuff, that, will come back to this body. But it's all dependent on that meeting on the 7th. So
So even from just I'm just trying to think about this out loud, even from a review standpoint, if anything comes at a plan commission that we or the applicant would need to adjust, we wouldn't be ready by the 10th anyway, because we'd have to post the agenda literally the next day after the plan commission.
So it doesn't.
I mean, it's already pushing it to the 17th.
Would come about until this second meeting, so.
The only thing that I can think of that is on the agenda right now that is not contingent on plan commission action is, the audit update from, Auditor Unger. She's
And
very
the
flexible.
planning commission meets the first Monday of the month, so it'll be meeting after the 3rd. So it'll be after the currently scheduled
it'll be the
date,
2nd.
which means we wouldn't be able to cover anything from the planning commission for the 10th. We'd have to wait till the
Why don't we
17th.
just have the second meeting?
Just have the 17th and leave it at that. Do we have a motion?
No,
No,
You could just shake your heads and say 17th.
That'd be fine.
17th?
That'd be fine.
It's not the first time that we've only
All right.
had one meeting in 1
No.
month, so.
and, I would just add that if, something unusual or alarming, or if there was some kind of emergency, we absolutely have the authority to call a special meeting. And we have done that in the past, and we're happy to do that again if something should come up.
We're just gonna, if we do just one meeting, then we'll have a 3-weeker and a 3-weeker and then go back to.
Yeah.
At least we're splitting the big chunk in half.
Right.
Somebody go on vacation, enjoy your lives. Maybe I'll do that too.
There any other items?
Consensus or-
I don't want a motion, I just prefer a consensus, please. And it sounds like the 17th is okay with the team. Okay, thanks.
Do we have any other items for consideration?
I do. After the meeting at 6, I think we should talk about zoning for residential and possibly adding, I don't remember what the term was, like residential occupation something.
So you'd like to talk about, an amendment to our zoning code?
Yeah, possibly adding something for that,
Yeah.
because the guy was the lawyer or whatever was saying a lot of places have that, so we should look into
Yeah.
adding that.
So let's connect on Monday what that process looks like. So basically when, we have an ordinance update request from a resident, they would draft that ordinance and present it to the board, with a amenable trustee sponsoring that. So it sounds like that's something that you're interested in doing for Mr. Lopez. So maybe we can all kind of put our heads together, understand what that ordinance could look like. It's a little more complicated because it's in the zoning code, right? And that process starts with a public hearing, which typically, but not strictly, starts with the plan commission. So I guess I would want to put my head together with you and Attorney Woodward, and then you guys and Mr. Lopez to see what that process looks like.
But I don't want a specific one just for Lopez. I wanted
Yep.
vague
That's what I'm
general.
saying.
Yeah, okay.
So when we change the ordinance, it's not for a specific instance, it's for the entire community. And because it's in the zoning code, there are some hoops to jump through that aren't necessarily ones that we've seen so far. So I'm not sure where this would start, whether it would start with the planning commission or with this body, because it's not necessary, it doesn't strictly need to be the planning commission, although it would probably go back to the planning commission
Yeah.
for approval. Right?
I mean, if anything, it would actually take more time if it started here and then
Yeah.
went back to the plan commission and yeah.
Because we would meet and call the public hearing.
Yep.
Send out the notifications, have the public hearing, kick it to the plan commission for recommendation, and then it would come back for a 2-week meeting
So it
process.
just makes more sense to start with the
Yep.
planning commission.
So let's put our head together.
But overall, we can guide you through that process.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Can we get it to the planning commission by
So
by their first meeting?
It depends if the board is willing to put some money towards it, right? Because I think we would need to ask Jonathan's opinion about what like municipalities have done, I mean, because it was specifically his suggestion.
Yeah,
And
it sounded to me as though he was referring to something, another
Yep.
zoning
like
ordinance that have
communities.
that would address this type of
Yeah.
situation.
Yep.
And I don't think that's a huge investment.
Yeah.
That's like a $78 investment.
And it might be worthwhile in the
Yeah.
long run.
I would say if I know that you're already gonna go down this path, we could just
Step on
start
it.
it and,
Yeah,
yeah, because I want to be respectful of everybody's
I
time.
just think it's worth at least going through that.
Yep.
And looking at it.
definitely.
It's all because of me again.
Oh, Don.
No, no,
Stir the pot
you're
in
good.
a good way. Okay,
All right.
Great.
good job.
Any other items? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Tom was on that one. Do we have a second?
Second.
DJ, all in favor?
I.
I think that's it.
All right. So
Well,
this
it's just-
resolution,
There was just something that wasn't right about that, and everybody felt it.